Hello, hello. Today we're going to talk about Massachusetts. And this one was in the New England region that we just talked about the other day. I think that was yesterday. So if you could please get your social studies textbook, and Massachusetts section 7.3 starts on page 69. And you need your chapter 7 packet, and you're going to open that up to page 4. It looks like this, comparing the colonies. And we're going to be in the Massachusetts section today. And as we read today, we're going to be asking ourselves, why was Massachusetts founded? Why did it start? We need to learn a little bit more about the geography, the surroundings, and the climate, what the weather was like. What jobs were available, so the economy, and the description of their government. How did their government work? So as we're reading, we're going to kind of be looking for these things, and we'll fill this table in together afterwards. So go ahead and open up your books to page 69, and you can follow along with me as I read. First of all, we see this picture right here, and this says that Puritans came to Massachusetts so that they could practice their religion freely. They found the land to be rocky and the winters cold. Still, there were many jobs available. Sounds like we already have some information that we can put in our chart. But let's keep going. And we're just reading this page today. As you learned in chapter 6, the Pilgrims came to Massachusetts aboard the Mayflower in 1620. Pilgrims were a type of Puritans who wanted to separate from the English church. 10 years later, many other Puritans decided to escape mistreatment by the government in England. These Puritans formed the Massachusetts Bay Colony and moved to New England in 1630. They wanted to create a community that was based on their religious beliefs. So that, I think, is key right there as to why it was founded. We'll write that down a little bit. The climate and geography of Massachusetts did not discourage the Puritans. The soil was rocky, so climate and geography here. The soil was rocky, the winters were cold. However, there were also vast forests and clean water. In addition, the cold winters helped to kill insects and germs that cause disease. Because of this, colonists in New England often live longer than people in other regions. Massachusetts offered many job opportunities. Colonists grew crops and raised animals on small plots of land. They cut lumber in the forests, fished, and built trade ships. Some colonists became skilled whalers. They used whale fat to make oil and candles. Bet you didn't know that one. Is that a new fact for you? Massachusetts had a more democratic government than either England or other European countries. Nevertheless, only men who were members of the Puritan Church could vote in the colony's elections. So not everyone could vote. Only members of the Puritan Church could vote. Once a year, a governor and representatives from different villages were elected to govern the colony. The colony's leaders made strict laws to preserve order. All right, so now we're going to take this information and we're going to fill it into our chart here. And again, whatever I write, you should write, okay? So for Massachusetts and thinking about why was it founded, well, I think it was basically because of religious freedom, right? The Puritans wanted to create a community based on their religious beliefs. All right, I was trying to really concentrate because when I don't really concentrate, my writing is super sloppy. So it was basically founded because the Puritans wanted to create a community based on their religious beliefs. They wanted religious beliefs. They wanted freedom to practice their religion. Okay, so the geography and climate. We already read that the soil was rocky, right? So let's make a little bulleted list here. Rocky soil. They did have really good forests. and clean water, That's important. Not dirty and salty like that last chapter, right? And as climate went, it talked about how they had the very cold winters, and that was actually good because it killed insects and germs. They were looking at the bright side. Very cold winters. And I think that's pretty much the gist of it, right, for the geography and climate. Okay, now for the available jobs. It did say that there were many jobs available, and some of those jobs, I think those are in the 4th paragraph in there. Some of those jobs were some small farming. And there was also lumbering, of course, because of the good forests, lots of lumberjacks, and fishing all along the water there. And because they're all along the water there, they're going to have shipbuilding and whaling. It's like fishing, but with whale. No joke. Okay, the description of their government. So how did it work? We talked about how some places were more democratic than others, and they didn't have, like all the colonies didn't have the same government. So basically, people could all vote, right? But only if you were a member of the Puritan Church. So men who were members of the Puritan Church could vote. So they still did have a say, but it wasn't all of the individuals that had a say. Still probably more democratic than England for them. Okay, that's it. Just Massachusetts today. You guys are all set. Have a great weekend.